crowd here. They do have Sizz, the hype man. Can he carry them here? We'll find out. It's Gale Force versus Rogue.
Sizz is basically America if it was inside one body. So they've effectively brought the home crowd with them on their own team. But yes, this is for a spot in our grand finals. 12K on the line right here, with the potential of upping that to 20K in our best of 7 finals, where Flipside Tactics await.
Of course, there will be stories of revenge for Rogue should they be able to make this incredible upset happen, as Rogue did take an exit from the RLCS Season 3 World Championships at the hand of KDOP and Mocket eSports, and also TurboPulse and Northern Gaming. Those were the teams that knocked Rogue out of the tournament, and now they're up against them again. And they need to play at their absolute best if they want to have a chance here. Of course, Violent Panda was the player who knocked out Turtle from RLCS Season 2, or knocked them down to the loser bracket with a ridiculous series of last-minute equalizers alongside Pashi and Devo, who then went on to the grand finals. So these players have lots of experience playing against each other, and it is Rogue who suffered the first blow in Game 1. Miss on the back wall by Sizz does enable Violent Panda to follow up at his own center ball. They will not be allowed to make any of these mistakes in defense, because the team that are going to punish them the hardest is probably Gale Force.
Yep, Gale Force very good at positioning across the field, but Matt has this opportunity to move forward. Rogue do tend to leave one player down the other ends of the field. However, it'll be interesting to see if they are still willing to run that strategy, considering the offense that would come barreling down towards them, or if they're just going to start to rotate that person back a lot more and go more traditional on the form of offense that they want to take. As Matt actually gets bumped there, and that's going to allow Gale Force to start moving forward. But a crucial rotation by Turtle just there in time prevents the scoreline from being upped even further.
Rogue definitely need to take this game to the air. We saw Infused were causing some problems for Gale Force earlier today, especially at the hands of Bluey, with their aerial play. And Rogue do love to play the cherry picker game in the middle of a series. They love to try to get upfield and redirect aerials into more dangerous positions. I really feel like they are definitely outmatched and outgunned on the ground, but in the air they may be able to cause some problems for the Europeans. But right now everything is happening on the ground. KDOP gets a second goal for Gale Force in the back post. Again, some lackluster defending on the hands of going Rogue. Nice block though by KDOP, angling his car perfectly there.
Yeah, currently Rogue not quite ready for these extra touches that Gale Force are bringing out just to try and disrupt the defender, because they are committing so hard to trying to clear the ball that as soon as it gets moved away from them, there is no way they can turn themselves around and correct the mistake. And Gale Force are taking advantage of that, and they've done a very good job of it so far. We've reached the halfway point in our game, and Gale Force eSports looking very comfortable, as Rogue just trying to stretch their wings a little bit and find their pace in this matchup.
You have to be so careful. Their passing plays so far have all been intercepted. And if they make their passing plays a little bit too obvious, that will be a problem throughout the series. Of course, being 2 goals down against a team as good as Gale Force, you almost have to throw caution to the wind and just throw the kitchen sink at them at this point. Because although there are almost 2 minutes remaining, are you going to get 2 chances to score against a defense this good? Well, there's one, and there's Sizz. Rogue on the board.
That is going to now allow them to start coming out, pushing the ball towards the side. And it was almost like Violent Panda had one thing in mind, which is just do not let this go across my own net. Did not think of the possibility of the 3rd man starting to rotate in, take the shot, and that is going to put this game down to 1 goal in our opening matchup.
A key one for Rogue, because if they were shut out in Game 1, we talked about their mentality and how important it is for them to get hyphy on stage, to be having a good time. It's hard to have a good time if you can't score goals in Rocket League. There's a chance there for Turtle. KDOP, but the fake challenge does bait Turtle into an early move, and possession has been conceded into a fairly even position. Territory, on the other hand, is strongly in Rogue's favor. Boost has been stolen from Sizz at the midfield, and I believe that will mean a changeover of possession and pressure. KDOP breaking rotation gives possession right back though. Careless from the Frenchman. I believe he cut off TurboPulse, who was ready to move in there.
And they need to be very careful, because Rogue are getting opportunities that they haven't capitalized on. There's been a few whiffs so far by the boys from North America.
It's a big chance for Turtle. He gets the knock on to the defender. Both the follow-up from Sizz and Violent Panda barely missing. The clear comes in for Gale Force. Still, Rogue are finding ways now to cause pressure, and the follow-up from Matt on his own hit.
Yeah,
Way off target, but they are causing chances and problems for Gale Force.
Rogue are doing a very good job of actually tightening up the passes, no longer trying to put them all the way across the entire field. Instead, looking for the halfway line, not trying to use the sidewalls, instead flying up, keeping it a more narrow approach. That means Gale Force will have to try and adapt to that. Final 20 seconds here. And this is going to be an opportunity for Gale Force to just try and finish this match off, as Rogue not only to get this out, the ball now played for side, but it's straight into the oncoming path of Violent Panda, who rotated across from the middle. Turtle out of boost, will not be able to do anything with that. Now Matt also low on boost. Gale Force stole everything from them as they rotated out, and that will hand game number 1 to Gale Force.
Very interesting at the end there. Violent Panda fakes the challenge when he is in essentially a 1 versus 3, and it worked. He managed to get Rogue to just pass the ball straight into his direction. K-Dop did the exact same thing when he was 1v3. Will Rogue pick up on this? Are they going to realize that when they have favorable numbers on Gale Force, the last man back for Gale Force is fake. They're often faking challenges. And if Rogue could pick up on that, they can continue to dribble with no fear of being challenged, because the fake challenge, of course, means that the defender's going to turn back around. And that leaves, you know, dribble plays wide open. And although I've called Rogue out in the past for being a team that struggles to defend against dribbling plays, they are also a team who are capable of performing dribbling plays of their own to a very high level.
And those dribbling plays could be very useful against a lot of half rotations that Gale Force are using, especially K-Dop. Very willing to just turn himself around at the drop of a hat, but if caught, could mean big trouble for Gale Force. So that opening game, we thought we had the answer to some of our questions within the opening minute, but adaptations coming through early on, and that means that we will continue to look at how these teams are playing. I expect these two teams to be some of the more varied and evolving styles of gameplay as we go through this best of 5. We are in game number 2 now. Gale Force are already 1 game up, and Sizz will look to try and put this off the backboard. He will try to follow up, but he is still on his starting game boost, unable to do anything that would potentially trouble Gale Force.
Matt has yet to connect with his self-set double touch plays. His turbo, nice aerial recovery and follow-up save. We do need to see the striker for Rogue step up to the plate if they're going to have a chance to upset Gale Force. Matt has always been the player who can strike the ball the most cleanly and accurately on this Rogue lineup. Sizz finding himself forward and redirecting the ball. No stranger to that. And we're back into where we were at the end of the second game. Rogue do have pressure. Will Gale Force be happy to just sit back and let Rogue play the game like this?
It certainly is the case, and I think boost management is going to be very important for both of these sides, as both are usually very happy to grab the middle one and rotate around, unlike a lot of the teams we've seen today that will just go all the way back in order to slingshot themselves into the play.
Made up Imperious in his boost steal, disguising it with a couple of fake shots just to get the defender back away, but that's a huge chance. What a save though by K-Dop. Back into defense, not a moment too soon. Sizz's shot could not have been much better there.
But now they've got their opportunity to try and go over, but since that ball has pretty much stuck itself to the side of the wall, that does mean K-Dop will have to take over, and he's managed to take it over the top of one, but Sizz is going to have to watch as Matt took it away.
Great play by Matt.
Will just push that straight into the wall. And it's actually going to be blocked by Sizz, who will be all over the map as long as he can keep himself boosted up. Sizz, yet again, half rotates, puts himself towards. That's going to be over to Matt off that sidewall. There'll be no follow-up by Turtle, hesitating on going forward. Still gets beat, though, and Sizz powers himself from one end of the pitch down to the other to help out his teammate.
Yeah, we saw Turtle trying to play his own fake challenge in that situation. Oh my word, Turbo Pulse fires into the ceiling and down. And now Violent Panda freestyles in, but he misses the ball. I believe it might have been a dead ball, actually, as Matt was credited with the save there. And we will give him the same credit. Matt has been playing phenomenally in defense this game. A position where he is often called into question, as his offense is so good that it's difficult for him to defend at the same level, but so far this game, he has been shining in goal and clearing the ball with purpose. They need to do more than that. They need to find a way to score past this Gale Force, who are defending phenomenally themselves. Matt fires straight into the center of the goal. Accuracy is lacking, it would seem, for Matt today.
Okay, we've got a little bit of a hugging scenario over on the side wall, but Gale Force will attempt to take advantage. That is a bad misplay. Turtle has to come back through to gather up the pieces and attempt to get rid of the ball. Final 2 minutes. We are still all tied up. Both these teams have had plenty of opportunities, but this is not end-to-end gameplay by any stretch of the imagination. Teams seem to be having extended periods of time to try and exert their offense, yet neither team able to find a way through. Might be a coast-to-coast, gets it set up. K-Dop can't turn it on target, came in from the right-hand side, ends up hitting it to the left, just couldn't change the angle of his car before taking the shot, and he will be used yet again to get himself not only the save, but the Savior medal.
K-Dop at the other end, we're crediting Matt for his defensive performance. K-Dop has been equally good for Gale Force, and that is why we are tied up here, because of those two players defending so well. It's interesting to see Gale Force sitting back so deep. We saw this from Diffuse Kids versus Flipside in the previous series. I feel like they're trying to force Rogue into the ground game because they know that is where they are the favorites, are Gale Force. But Rogue want to take this up high. Will they be able to force that? Will they be able to bring Gale Force into their territory, make them play their game? Sizz with a fake, but the ball is off target. Last minute here, and Rogue are still pressuring. Low shot, gets saved by Violent Panda. For once, K-Dop wasn't there to make the save, but this time, the Dutchman was.
And he comes through at the absolute perfect moment as well, as Rogue looking for demos. Just happy to try and launch that ball from their midfield area into the side of the net within about 2 seconds with great passing plays and demo attempts. Final 23 seconds on the clock. And we are still all tied up here. One of these teams
this is dangerous.
Needs to find a way through. Violent Panda should win that. He has managed to do so, but that is a weak shot. But still, the ball has been left open. Rogue struggling to find the ball out of their end, as it will be controlled, taken just over the top. Sizz will let that one die, and we are in overtime in a, so far, scoreless game.
Look out for the cheat from Gale Force. Violent Panda's up, and that's going to be a shot on net. Can Sizz get the save? Yes, he can, but only as far as Turbo Pulsar. They need to be so careful, but now he's downfield. Redirects on net, but K-Dop is there, as he always is. And now we're right back into flow of game, which went 5 minutes scoreless. There may be another 5. It just comes down to who is going to make the fatal mistake first. Rogue are holding strong against a very talented European roster recently acquired by Gale Force. But they need a goal so badly. Again, the woodwork denies them.
You have to remember, Turbo Pulsar is not confirmed for this squad, but K-Dop is confirmed for this squad. And he is going to be the match winner. Gale Force in a big win, open up the game lead to 2-0.
K-Dop in his favorite position inside the box, waiting for the direct pass. Violent Panda doesn't even need to look to see where he is. He already knows. But what a performance by K-Dop, just imperious in defense, flawless in the midfield, and finds the winning and only goal of Game 2 to double their lead. Now triple match point. Can Rogue do what Flipside could? Can they reverse sweep a ridiculously talented European roster? They need smiles on their faces. They need positivity in their communications. Can they do it without the USA chants coming from the audience sitting in front of them?
Well, certainly is a case right now of Rogue are still looking for these counter-attacking opportunities. They almost had one straight from the kickoff, but were not able to turn it in due to a last-second K-Dop block. And it's just, there's never an overcommit from Gale Force right now, and that is really what Rogue need. They need Gale Force to get a little bit too sure of themselves, move too many players forward, and then capitalize on that. However, Gale Force have been very, almost military disciplined in their rotation, and it has not allowed any space to be opened up.
The problem for Rogue is that K-Dop and Turbo Pulsar, extremely high-level 1v1 players, and their style of defense in 1v1s is predominantly shadowing, pointing their car away from the ball. So even when they are found in awkward positions, 1 versus 2, or even 1 versus the entire Rogue lineup, they're comfortable throwing in those little wiggles to fake challenges and shadowing to fly in the same direction as the ball is, making key interceptions. Rogue need to try and bring Gale Force out of their comfort zone, and I feel like that is the air as K-Dub sits back waiting for a boost to respawn very casually.
Rogue do need to try and find an answer right now. Will they attempt to try and keep up with the pace
Save
of Gale Force, who have just been outstanding throughout the entirety of this competition? Sizz will put that up high, but Turbo Pulsar is already up there. This is an opportunity now for Rogue to try and put something in. It's been so long now since their last goal, considering they were kept scoreless last game. And they'll want to try and break that streak pretty soon. Coming towards the end of our first minute here. Rogue have had the majority of the possession, but haven't managed to do anything with it.
Matt continues to look pretty solid sitting back, and it's good to see Turtle and Sizz both stepping forward looking for redirects in the midfield. That is something that Rogue have shown us success with in the past, but another shot in front of the net for Violent Panda goes uncontested, and Gale Force are in the lead in regulation time in this game. Bad news for Rogue.
It's because Rogue do like to send 2 players around for these plays that is catching them out. As soon as a good challenge comes through and it does bounce off that backboard, no one is there to stop it. The keeper in the net is always going to be at a disadvantage. And there we go, Gale Force picking up yet another goal using the backboard and in strategy. And if they can keep this going, they will head into our grand finals against Flipside Tactics, which is surprisingly rare in Rocket League that we actually get the grand finals that was predicted.
Indeed, yeah. The flip side this time, making a extremely rough entrance to the grand finals. Gale Force currently on a much smoother path. They have dealt with Rogue's offense so well this series. Rogue unable to just challenge this ridiculously consistent rotation that's coming out from the European legends.
Well, Flipside Tactics in some cases literally have been bloody and beaten on their way to that grand finals.
Yeah, I think Wavepunk said there was no bad blood between Pashi and Marky Duda, but if Marky Duda turns to face Pashi, then there is of course the blood on Marky's nose.
But I'm sure they will be ready for the finals. Should it be against
Tie
anyone,
game.
but Matt managed to follow that ball off straight from the side of the wall. Great challenge there, and then beats Cade up to it. Clean, no boost towards the end because he used it all to beat an entire team.
Matt with the solo plays, and not a moment too late. Now Rogue have to think ahead. Overtime did not favor them in game 2. I'm sure they're not interested in another overtime. Good job by Sizz using his opponent's car to help clear the ball, but Violent Panda so patiently in defense, waiting for his teammates to come back and help him. And now teammates have arrived. It never looks like Gale Force have any openings when they have time to get back to the defense and start to work into their corners and secure those boosts. But these subtle touches from Sizz and Turtle are causing problems. Miss coming in from Matt though. That is not a good sign as Turtle is now at a boost. Sizz needs to win the ball, and he does. That is huge. Can Matt find the redirect? No, he can't.
It's that thing you brought up earlier. The ability to shadow the player, the ability to shadow the ball. And once again, in the way is K-Dop, and that's going to be a big pass. What a great shot. Use the wheels. Just gently glided it back towards the net.
But as always, there's someone from Gale Force ready. They have shown their respect for their opponent's Rogue throughout this series by expecting and anticipating those montage plays. The redirects from the midfield. So hard to make those work against a team who are sitting so deep as Gale Force are.
These passing plays, as often as Rogue have gone for it, have not worked so far. They've taken shots on target, but they have not managed to get any goals. As Matt just wants to try and keep it away. Violent Panda will, however, be there on time. Final minute. And if Gale Force can find a goal, they could put the North American team out in the semifinals, head themselves through to the grand finals, and take on Flipside Tactics. But still, they've got to find that goal.
Oh, whiff from Matt again. Having a shaky defensive game in game 3. The nerves are certainly starting to creep in as they realize the momentous task that is ahead of them. The mountain that is yet to be climbed. Again, Rogue's attacks are swatted to one side, and Gale Force looking so safe in defense, looking so threatening every time they move forward. Are we going to another overtime? As 15 seconds remain. Demo onto Turtle. We will see Rogue pressuring for the final seconds here.
Violent Panda is actually going to look for K-Dot, well communicated between the two players. And now actually a final opportunity. How much boost does Violent Panda have? He's going to leave it for K-Dot and use that wall. So I can assume very little if he chose that style of play. But that is going to start hitting towards the floor. Sizz actually really fancies this. Pinches it against the top of the roof. And that is going to hit the floor. Must win now for Rogue.
The kickoff this time does go in their favor. Sizz is up. Can he read the ceiling? He can, but Turbo reads his hit. Again, so much respect from Gale Force for Rogue's ability to read these aerial bounces. Great job by Turbo Pulsar, pre-jumping to save that shot. And we're right back into midfield play. 2 games we've seen. Just solid rotation from both players. One mistake is all it takes, and there it is. Turbo Pulsar sends Gale Force to the grand final. It happens so fast because if you give Gale Force an opening, one pass and the shot is the goal. Exactly the same as that happened in Game 2. Gale Force going on to the grand finals to face Flipside Tactics. Wavepunk and Karma are going to break down that game a little bit further as we say goodbye.